I'm Mike Andrzejczyk from Virginia Cooperative Extension, and we're going to talk about rose pruning today. Typically, the main rose pruning we're going to do is around Valentine's Day, so that's easy for most people to remember. So when you go out in your garden, that's a great time because the plants may just be starting to grow and have leaves and things like that, but they haven't put on a whole lot of growth. And we're going to first cut off all of the extra stuff to the height where we want the plants to start growing from. So I'm going to go in and get rid of this stuff, randomly, so that we can get in there without cutting our hands up or getting stuck by all these thorns. So we're just going to go ahead and remove a whole bunch of these branches. And you want to take these bigger stems out as much as possible. Sometimes pushing them into one another helps. It's always probably wise to wear gloves. But see, we can get it back to a more manageable size where we can get in closer to make more accurate cuts. Some people will cut them down to about 12 inches, again, above the graft, or they may go as high as 24. So it's up to you what you'd like to do. Once you got it kind of cut back where you feel safe enough to go into the plant, we're going to look for branches that are bigger than your thumb or smaller than your little finger. And we're going to get rid of those, okay? And we're going to make sure that we save some about the size of your index finger or a pencil or somewhere in between there. We're going to try and save 5 to 7 for any of our show roses, our floribundas, our tea roses, or our grandifloras. So I'm going to go down and look at removing some of the bigger stems first that are too large and maybe that are clustered together. And the reason is those are more prone to borers and disease, and they start to slow down as they get older. So we're going to get rid of that one. And then we're going to look for smaller ones too, like this one here. And we're going to try and make good cuts where, again, we're cutting it right at the where it joins another branch. And you can see this one looks a little spindly. So we're going to remove these smaller stems because they're not strong enough or have enough energy in them to produce big blooms. And then they're also crowding the other branches with the leaves and whatnot that can lead to more disease and insect pressures. So by thinning those out, we're going to make a healthier plant and get better blooms on our rose bush. The last step in rose pruning is once you've got your framework figured out, you're going to choose the branches and look at those and look for the buds so that the buds are facing out away from the center of the plant. And that way you'll direct the growth to grow that way and leave the center open for the most part, allowing sunlight and air to keep entering the plant and helping with disease control. So I'm going to go down, and we could do this anywhere from 12 to, again, 24 inches, just depends on where the buds are and where you want the plant to start blooming from. So here's an outward facing bud on this stem, and it comes through the prickles. So sometimes you can take your fingers and just bend them to the side and they'll come off. Otherwise you might have to cut through them. And we're going to cut a little bit of an angle to allow water to flow off of that wound. So we can pop off these prickles to get them out of your way. They just break off really easily to the side. And then we'll cut above a bud. In this case, the bud is already sprouted a little bit, but that's the exact direction we want it to go. And we can cut it off there. And then this last one, again, we're going to look for the bud, and I see a bud up here. Again, we can break off a couple of prickles, and then we can cut it on an angle above that bud. And now we've got basically a skeleton, but it's ready to grow in the spring and put out new growth, and then by the time it's warm for Mother's Day, it should be in nice full bloom.